Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, joining me as always is Mr. Bobby Bunts. Whit is taking care of some family business, so he's got another baby coming up. Be here in the next few weeks, so we said we can afford to see you later down the road. If you take a few weeks off and everything else. But Bob, we got a jam-packed show tonight. Not only we got UFC 315 headlined by your favorite fighter Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title. The co-main event is obviously Shevchenko versus Menier Ferro, a fight that I feel like Menier has been sitting on the sidelines for a while, waiting for this title fight. Much to get into. Hopefully, we'll have Mr. Donn Davis be joining us here after bit. But let's start. I mean, what a jam-packed weekend we had, Bobby, in combat sports. Like from Friday's Madison Square Garden events to UFC to Canelo to the other boxing event on Sunday, which was the best. The names are escaping me off the top here, but what an incredible week. We could start at the Madison. Do we go chronologically here and just start at the MSG? Your thoughts? I thought the event didn't hit so well.
I mean, going into it, I said, why are we even doing this matchup? Whenever you do this stuff in boxing, when you have a set rematch and you don't, you try to milk it and, go more down the line, what ends up happening? Either someone could slip on a banana peel, the fight could be a little lackluster, and all around, I would have to give the Times Square an F. It looked terrible. Granted, it wasn't for the people there, but like based on what we were sold, it just, uh, was terrible in my opinion. Like everything, how it looked. If Turkey Al Sheikh's idea was to bring the lifeless environment of Saudi Arabia into Times Square, well, then he succeeded. But it definitely seemed like the fighters were thrown off from being outside in the middle of the street and stuff. Um, it was kind of a cool idea, but in the end, it seemed like it's something that probably should have just been left for an interview and not acted on. Because to me, all it did was make me uninterested in the rematch that I wanted to see. And Devin Haney won the fight in very Devin Haney fashion. Definitely outclassed him and never put anything at risk. And I think a lot of people thought that the matchup would make him kind of press a little bit more action, but it just seemed kind of clear that I got this paycheck. Why am I going to put any risk in this? And especially when I got the Garcia matchup and the Garcia fight, the second Garcia got dropped, he seemed to no longer want to engage and take no other risk because he had that payday. Granted, both of them were coming off missing significant time. One through suspension and the other choosing
Through
not to
feelings.
fight.
Through
Yeah,
feelings.
I will say though, the thing that probably aged the best for Devin Haney, though I was not really too inspired by his performance or anything, but the lawsuit aspect of it. A lot of people called him out for that and said that was weak. But when you see that turd that Ryan Garcia put on the board, it's hard to say that he didn't have a justifiable case there. So to me, I immediately, threw that in the back. I knew we were kind of getting more of the same with the Canelo fight, which we absolutely did. And, it was probably just part of that Canelo deal. But I do think, Rolly should, get credit for fighting the fight that he needed to. Definitely seemed like the sparring in the previous matchups with Garcia helped out. But Garcia just like really came out flat. And other than, throwing the jab early before he got dropped, he wasn't, really doing too much. And, he's known for throwing that left hook. And we didn't see much of that. The corner was begging to get something out of him. And my favorite highlight of the night was probably listening to the commentary, who definitely got us through a lot of it because they were calling it how they saw it too. But yeah, for me, I would not ever want to see anything like that again. And I kind of am in no hurry to see Garcia versus Haney too, a fight that was one of my most anticipated boxing matches. Now it's like, yeah, they're gonna book it. It'll probably be a stale environment in Saudi, and that was probably my overall reaction. Is the new car smell with Turkey Al Sheikh is definitely wearing thin, and it's just really bringing us lifeless events. Bunch of media I respect that just really seems to be mouthpieces on payroll now, and it's really hard to take any of it seriously. But I guess that's just the world we're living in.
Yeah, yeah. The whole event itself, I thought it was a great idea, right? But I think when we're sold like, fight in Times Square, like, the idea itself, right, sounds awesome. But like the way they went about it, right? We know it was closed off to the elite, I guess you could say. Like it wasn't the common fight fan, and the it was like watching the Apex. Like there was no life to the party. So for that, it was a big old pile of dog shit, if I do say so myself. So that's what I give the event, Bobby. It's just a big old pile of shit. Um, because in itself, it just wasn't, at Times Square, just like if the common fan could have, like, they could have surrounded that with just common fans and gave, like, maybe put it on free for the people to watch, right? Live. Um, it in person would have been great. I think that would have gave it more event. The fights just also did not deliver. Like, I mean, from top to bottom, the fights, the best fight might have been the cop versus the firefighter. You know what I mean? Like, in all honesty, I mean, the Haney fight was garbage. The Garcia fight was Rolly did a good job, but Garcia just wasn't, like, it just wasn't there. So like this self in itself, so like cool atmosphere. I felt like could have been better if they would have just let the people watch, like, and had the fights deliver. The fights just didn't deliver. They just weren't like, and I think maybe part like you said is like they were setting up Haney versus Garcia. They should have just done that fight instead of waiting, because now both of them don't look. Are you signing up to rewatch that fight, Haney versus Garcia? I don't really think so. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they should have done that on Friday night and not waited. And the same thing with kind of going to the Canelo just real quick. The same thing, like with Canelo, like, did he really need to fight in Saudi against this? You know what I mean? A fight that we already know he's going to do, Bud. Um, like, that's the fight to make, like, because he didn't seem like that fight really mattered, or he was, that great in that fight either. So both of those fights were just kind of trajecting down. I don't want to keep our guest waiting any longer, Bobby. So we'll get back to the UFC in Des Moines, and then we'll get to UFC 315. But there's a big PFL card, and unfortunately, we got to figure out why the hell we won't be able to watch it here in the United States. So we made a phone call, and we reached out, and welcome to the first time ever, making his first time ever at Headkicks and Haymakers, the president of the PFL, Mr. Donn Davis.
Thank you for
Donn,
having me. Hello.
Hello, Donn. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking time out of your such busy schedule, and we'll get into the schedule. A big fight this weekend. You have maybe your most popular star, but yet, where the hell can I watch it, Donn?
Well, if you are based in the United States, that is the joy of the PFL Europe and the different regional scenes. It's going to be a local affair that you will have to stay tuned to hopefully see, whichever fighter you are rooting for move up in time to the PFL World Tournament. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it doesn't, Donn. It doesn't. You literally have your
I
biggest
don't know
star.
how it could be any clearer.
I'm based in the United States. I want to watch your biggest star, a guy who I saw almost go toe to toe with Nurmagomedov a couple weeks ago in Paul Davis, and now I can't watch him in that environment. That's what you guys bring, is the great environment overseas, and I want to watch him in his home country, and I can't.
I understand. And, media rights deals are difficult, okay? And we're building a global brand. And it is not as simple as, Netflix coming in to save the day for the little guy, okay? And we are the fastest rising MMA promotion in the world, okay? And, we focus there on the world. But yes, it is the great, unique aspect of PFL Europe and all of the other regional PFL promotions that it's what makes the World Tournament so special at this time. And of course, we are, looking for different, more all-encompassing distribution. But for now, do not Google ExpressVPN and sit tight.
But Donn, like you got the tournament on ESPN every Thursday. We just watched Phil Davis, win a fight, his first fight in like a decade.
Amazing fight.
But we can't watch your biggest star. Why couldn't this one?
Not if you're based in the United States. Okay. Believe me, I mean, we're in these meetings saying the same thing. And
I feel like you're anti-American here, Donn.
Whoa.
I'm just
no.
saying.
Not at all. Not in the slightest. If you want to take that tack, I might have to borrow that for the next meeting we have with our advertisers. You want to talk about un-American?
Maybe so.
We are. There's a few legal undertakings, and it's really more than a few that I'm not able to talk about that much right at this moment. But we are figuring out. It's part of the distribution deal is getting the right content in front of the right people, which MMA fans are passionate, and you're expressing that passion right now, and we do appreciate it. The other half of that is getting advertisers right who have a product that they are trying to connect with a consumer base, which they are able to and willing to deliver on the payments thereof. So that's another big, undertaking that we are making right, and we look forward to having, a more all-encompassing media rights deal that covers every continent that the PFL touches, which grows every day.
Bob, you got any questions for your best friend Donn Davis?
I mean, I'm confident Donn will get it done, and we'll be able to watch it somehow. He definitely does take a lot of flack. I've been critical with him in the past, but these last few months, he definitely really see him turning a leaf, and he's secured some new deals and stuff, and they announced the Africa today, once again making a smart move, getting Dakota Ditcheva a fight. And
Yes.
people are gonna say what they want, but at the end of the day, some of the prelims and how they're talking about the main card might be confusing, but at least they're getting these fighters fights because they were just sitting on the sideline doing nothing. So it's good to see them getting fights outside the tournament and not having to wait for the tournament winner. So not much more of a question, but kudos, Donn. I see the effort at least.
Donn, we got a question here from one of our guests, viewers. Why did PFL skip Las Vegas this year? I've been to every Vegas event. Why no event this year is what Rob wants to know.
Yeah, it's a fair question. And the Vegas fight environment is heavily saturated. We have a lot of competition there. And we go where we are most wanted. It is still, we are building and learning every year. And would we have loved to be in Vegas? Did we try to go to Vegas? Yes. But it was not in the cards for this season. And stay tuned, because we are looking forward to when we can next get back. But that is all I can say for now. And appreciate the plug about PFL Africa. We are very excited to launch the PFL Africa tournament in Cape Town on July 26th, and it is the return of Dakota Decheva.
Yeah, I'll get to Dakota in just a minute, Donn. But earlier you mentioned PFL Europe, and that's the reason I can't watch, big news this weekend. And when I go to your website and I click on PFL Europe, it literally says there's nothing here yet. Get notified. We're working on the next big matchup. So who the hell's running your website, Donn?
I am pulling that up just to see if it is something that needs to be refreshed, and it may be that simple.
Okay.
We have a great team working on our website, and I see a great picture here of Paul Hughes with red, bloodthirsty eyes, and I think it looks great.
If you go to athletes and then you click PFL Europe, that was the problem. That's on me. That's on me, Donn. That's on me.
Okay. Well, great. Hey, was it that easy to solve, huh? Look at
Yeah,
us.
I mean, well, maybe you should put they're in Europe and they're fighting out of Europe, maybe you should put them into the Europe bracket. But I'm just saying.
All things in good time. It's you look at what happened with Dakota Decheva, right? She was a champion in Europe and then made her way to the global tournament. And if Paul Hughes continues the streak that he's been on, coming off a tough loss, but
why are we not getting the rematch? Why are we not getting the rematch, Donn? That fight was the best fight in PFL history, arguably.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to make that fight. If we were the type of promotion that only cared about putting together the fights that people want to see most.
So you guys are you saying that you don't going to put fights together that are the same? Like you're not going to put on fights that the fans want to see?
Yes and no. Okay, we value the tournament. The tournament is the most important thing, and it supports our World Championship Series, where the best do fight the best, as we've seen over the years. And look, our minds are open. Okay, people said, "Hey, we want elbows. Hey, we want a different format than the previous tournament." We listened. People said, "Oh, there's too much time in between fights." We've listened, okay, and we're willing to grow and learn. And that is the beautiful thing about making a fighting organization like the Professional Fighters League, where we do what the people and the fighters want the most. So your input is much appreciated.
Okay.
Even if you're a Packers fan.
I am.
Credit to you for booking Hughes, because I was concerned that he was just going to be sitting on the sideline. So, once I heard that event was announced there, absolutely the right move. It was a no-brainer. I kind of see, the location being electric. Hopefully I'll find a way to watch it. And, I'm sure it's going to be a good event.
Thank you. Yeah, and believe me, I want to see Paul Hughes rematch Usman Nurmagomedov as much as anyone else. I caught some flack for saying I don't watch my competitors' fights. Listen, I watch our fights. Okay, it was great to see Phil Davis win. It was great to see Shoeface back in the smart cage. And let's just say we can't make anyone fight. Okay, Paul Hughes wants to fight. That's why he's fighting. And he decided, yeah, would I want the rematch? Of course. Would I rather fight than sit and wait? Absolutely. You could have Khabib on the show next time and ask him why Usman isn't fighting. And this isn't me playing hardball. I'm just saying it takes two to tango, and Paul Hughes wants to tango.
Well, you said you can't make people fight, but what do you say? What is your response to the fighters that they wanted to fight and they're not getting fights, a la AJ McKee or even Dakota at certain points said she was not getting offered any fights and
now she is, and now Johnny Eblin is, and AJ McKee is in an interesting position, right, where he's raised his stock a lot, and does he want to fight? Yes. Does he want to fight?
What about Hadkicks? We haven't seen him.
one fighter at a time.
Okay.
Everyone will say one thing and then want and do another, right? There's a degree of negotiating in public, okay? And I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I know how this goes. The media and social media, websites like LinkedIn, these are all used to move the negotiations forward or backwards. And AJ McKee is being offered fights. They may not be the fights he wants, when, where, for the compensation he feels he has deserved, which that is his right, as an independent contractor to make that negotiations. But I assure you, you will see AJ McKee back in the smart cage as soon as both sides have come to an agreement. And the best deals make both sides a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, that's what it's going to take. But please go on.
What about Patchy? We haven't seen Patchy at all.
Yeah, he's a tough nut to crack. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to happen, but I can't say when. And we do have a great matchmaking team, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm here pounding the pavement, talking to Headkicks and Haymakers, but I'm also dealing with advertisers, dealing with lawyers, dealing with all manner of things that it takes to build a global brand and league. So that is as much as I can say personally, but there's a great team working behind me trying to make these fights happen, and and a great roster of fighters who, look, I don't always have to agree with. They don't always have to agree with me, but we are working together to make a great league, and that is why you see people like Johnny Eblin and Dakota Dacheva now fighting, even though, yeah, maybe it looked a little hairy there for a minute.
What took so long to make those fights?
Well, in the case of Dakota, we are absolutely behind her 1,000%, but her star is rising, right? And making a fight with someone who is just hungry to get in the cage, the smart cage that is, and show their skills versus someone who's recognized that their stock is raised, that they are now a global brand in her own right. I mean, if you watch the last card, you see Dakota's face on every one of those ads, right? And the advertisers are who, in theory, pay the bills. So it's the negotiations are a little slower, and I don't think that's any knock on Dakota. That's what she should be doing. That's you see that across the board in this sport when your own stock raises and you become, the face of an organization. The negotiations go a little bit slower, and she's been through the grind of that tournament, and now she's in a different place where that's all I can say. Those negotiations are a little slower. We got it done, but were both sides uncomfortable? You betcha.
Donn, my last, just a couple more questions. Again, we appreciate you taking the time out and answering these tough questions.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Donn. My question is, it's PFL Africa, but no sign of Francis Ngannou, and that was what this is supposed to be built around. Where's Francis, and have you spoke to Francis? I understand there was a tragedy. Just kind of where are we at with Francis Ngannou and in him returning to the smart cage, as you say?
Yes. So as you said, there was a terrible, terrible tragedy, and I've called Francis. I have gone out to Cameroon to have a great number of meaningful sit downs and dinners with Francis. Right now, he's focused on being there for his family, being there for the family of the victim, and as far as his return to the smart cage, no one at PFL is pressuring Francis to do anything. We've been very flexible, allowing him to go out and box, raising his own stake. To the conversation about Dakota, look at what Francis has done since betting on himself, right? And that elevates the platform of the PFL. But if you ask me, when we do start having those conversations, lean more towards, okay, what do you want to do when you go back in the octagon? If you listen to the boys in the back, I've put out my thoughts on this, and I'll say it again. Open weight world tournament. We're getting Francis. We're doing what it takes to win the Eddie Hall sweepstakes. and whoever else either of them won that tournament. Would it be great to see, other heavyweights from PFL? Sure. Would we be open to co-promoting with KSW? Absolutely. Okay, there's an opportunity here to do something very special in the scope of super fights that no one has seen since the early days of MMA in a safer way that we could actually get approved by a legit sanctioning body. So those are my thoughts. I can't think of a fight that anyone would want to see in heavyweight MMA more than Francis Ngannou versus Eddie Hall across any organization.
Go ahead, Bobby.
You mentioned calling in on boys in the back. I enjoyed that quite much. Is there a reason that you have not called in or done an interview with Ariel Helwani, though? What made
Thank
you
That's
go
my
to
next. That was my
the
last question.
middle
What's
show
the
there?
beat? Yeah,
That
good question.
jabroni? Listen, I've tried to talk to Ariel, okay? And we've talked in the past. And I don't know what I did to grind his gears, but you might as well call me Ali Abdelaziz, because me and that guy do not see eye to eye, okay? And he does great work. It's nothing personal. But, if I saw that pipsqueak, it's on site, okay? I cardio kickbox too. No, in all seriousness, I don't respect his journalistic integrity, and I'd much rather talk to someone like Connor Burks, New York Rick, Mysterious Frank, anyone, because they're actually going to get to the real questions. I heard another great question on that show because I listened to it as well. Arnold Schwarzenegger called in, if you can believe this, and he follows the sport very closely. He's asking the tough questions, okay? The PFL isn't trying to get the Ali Act undone, okay? So, do I want to talk to a reporter who is burying the biggest story in MMA as a promoter who is fighter first? As much as, yes, again, negotiations get tough, okay? But we have never said that we are not fighter first. Remember why Francis came to the PFL, okay? It wasn't just because, he believes in Jake Paul. It's because he wanted to do something beyond being a contractor who is ultimately a fungible asset to a company, right? He wanted to be the president of PFL Africa. He wanted to support fighters in a way that goes beyond, surface level optics. So all of that to say, Ariel Helwani, add me back on LinkedIn, or don't.
Hey,
You know
Rob
what?
wants
Don't.
Rob, real quick. Rob just wanted to let you know the merch under Takedown's much better than the years past. So he just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
So, Donn, again, I'm disappointed I won't be able to watch, big news this weekend because you're blocking me because you're anti-American and don't want to put it on in the States. But nonetheless, I guess I'll just have to stream it somehow, some way. Don't you feel like you're cutting off a big majority here? Like I feel like that's a thing. You know what I mean?
Bucket, we're on the same side here. Listen, the advertisers who are not paying us, okay, I'll come out. My lawyer's going to hate that I'm saying this. The advertisers that are not paying us are keeping us from getting, I know it, the distribution in the United States. If anyone, it's okay, Kevin, if anyone is un-American, it's our advertisers. And that's why we're taking them to the greatest court under the sun, the United States court.
Okay. All right, Donn.
Thank you, Will.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you coming and joining us. We hope to have you back on some of the time since you don't want to talk to that stooge Ariel Helwani. You can always come on Headkicks and Haymakers and talk to me and Mr. Bobby Blunts.
I appreciate you and give my best to Wit. I'll happy to come on anytime.
We will, Donn. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the support as always, Bobby. You're my guy.
Thank you,
Bobby's
Donn. Keep doing you.
And, PFL, president, Mr. Donn Davis, everybody.
Peace.
Thanks, Donn. Oh, there we go. Bobby, what'd you think? I mean, Donn Davis answering the tough questions. We put him in the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling him, he's he's doing a lot of things that there's some kinks there, but at the same time, he's getting stuff done that kind of matters and stuff. And going back to the states not being able to see it, I know it sucks for us, but we're kind of their small market anyways. So it wouldn't shock me if maybe it gets put on like YouTube or something, or they find like some type of workaround. But I think their main priority was just locking it down, because in the zone you can watch it in Europe. So, um, but it it's good to see like these fighters getting booked and not having to wait. So I'm sure he'll keep it going.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Let's get back into this past weekend. We kind of left off. I said that the MS. We kind of both agreed the MS was absolute dog shit. Event. Not that in the fights didn't really deliver, but then we get to Saturday, and Corey Sandhagen looked phenomenal. But I think to me, the story coming out of there was, what the hell do you do with Bo Nickel? And how good is RDR? That was the story to me.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, you missed Donn. You can rewind it, or check it out tomorrow. You don't want to. You'll have to go back and listen to the great interview with the great Donn Davis. But that to me, what was your thoughts here? We kind of talked about it before we hit online of Mr. Bo Nickel.
To me, it was not shocking that he lost. It was more shocking that he looked almost the same in the Paul Craig fight. Like it didn't seem like anything else really, came along and stuff. Now, granted, going into this, like he was fighting a former world champion, and that's why I can't really sign on with the aspect of like he was getting fraud checked, because like it's not like DeRitter is some like slouch off the couch or anything like that. And I can't really blame a guy for being confident when in this sport you have to have like a level of delusion and confidence. But the thing that just surprised me was how similar the striking looked in the Paul Craig fight. He was setting nothing up, just throwing the overhands, and DeRitter picked up on it quickly, worked the body great, and he looks fantastic. Like I really think, unfortunately, the Nickel kind of overshadowed how great of a performance he had, because everyone afterwards was just like shitting on Bo and stuff. When DeRitter literally has, three octagon finishes pretty much. And I don't know if the UFC was doing this to kind of see where Bo was at, or like they misjudged him because, previously, I think they thought they were setting him up for a mismatch in the Kevin Holland fight. We all know how that went. So maybe it is a big part of just how much better DeRitter is than Bo, because that was very evident in the fight. I mean, Bo did get that, takedown early, but DeRitter was able, Bo going for the guillotine probably wasn't, the smartest thing right away. But I mean, as far as what you do with Bo Nickel, I just would say do not fight anyone ranked. And, look at Chase Hooper. Like his striking seemed to be years behind where his grappling was. And that really seems to be the case with Bo. So it's kind of going to come down to, is the UFC going to, switch up some matchmaking here? Because there are not too many easy fights in the UFC unless they have them like fighting guys coming in off the contender and stuff. But even that might be a little dicey depending on how well-rounded their skill set is. So personally for me, I'm just more excited for what is next for DeRitter. I hear news that him and Bobby Knuckles might be fighting. I would take that fight all day. And hopefully that's what we get. The Sean Strickland call out was definitely amusing. I do think that would be an interesting matchup and fight prep. But at the same time, I think they're running back him and Izzy. So I would say give him Whitaker or give him Kaio. I think he's right there to be one win away from getting a title shot. So give him someone at the top. And, don't say me with this Paulo Costa thing. I don't even know why he's ranked. The fact that RDR didn't move up to at least the guys that, Costa's last fight win was against Luke Rockhold in Utah. I
Yeah,
just, you told me they matched up Vittori. He's another one that's kind of just been sitting there. But
yeah.
I would say treat him like he's ranked, top six, and match him up with someone in the top five.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ritter right there. He looked phenomenal. As far as like Bo Nickel, like people are shitting on Bo, and maybe rightfully so. They do need to slow the train down. Like I'm not saying it's totally derailed, but here's the thing: is like Bo Nickel has less than 10 fights in an octagon. You know what I mean? Less than 10, and you not a single guy with 10 fights is signing up to fight RDR. You know what I mean? Like that's so like I do want to give him some credit there. It's like, bro, he faced a guy who's a former champion in another organization. Like I'm seeing a couple people like shit on him. And then somebody said, Bo Nickel's gonna be Michael Chandler. I said if his career is Michael Chandler's career, that's a pretty damn good career. You know what I mean? Like Michael Chandler's a guy who's won titles in other organizations, fought for the title here, and has been the top, in the top 5 or so, and can compete. So if like Bo becomes Michael Chandler, by all means, that's pretty damn good, career if that's what he ends up being. You know what I mean? Is he ever going to be the, you know what I mean, like a UFC? We don't know. He's still young, and
Yeah,
he just doesn't
but
have the octagon time. And to sign him up to face a killer like RDR 10 fights in, not very many guys who are 10 fights into their career are doing that. Unfortunately, he just has, because of his wrestling acumen and his all-American, like he's getting thrown to the wolves. They do need to slow it down. And maybe, we kind of joke, but Torres Finney or somebody like that, fight guys that are good, are favorable matchups that you can win, but are going to test you at the same time. And I think he just needs more time. So I'm with you. Don't fight anybody ranked. I would love RDR to fight the Bobby Knuckles or somebody like that as well. I do think it is Izzy Strickland. I've been hearing that as well, or seeing that. And real quick to touch on Corey Sandhagen, the title fight's next for me. Like for Corey, like he has fought everybody. Like he's never fought O'Malley or Marab, so why not him and like let him get the winner? It doesn't matter who it is. Let him get the winner. Like I think he's there.
I really have no issues with it. What I will say though is, I'm expecting O'Malley to lose, and
Yeah,
I think that you know, I would kind of prefer they do Jan versus Marab too, and then give us Sandhagen versus O'Malley. But at the same time, I kind of get the leapfrog status of it. Um, Corey did say he took the Jan fight on short notice, so. How that would differ, I don't know, but just based off that performance, he walked through Figgy.
yeah,
Figgy just looked like a lightweight or a flyweight in there to me. And Sandhagen's size was just so much bigger. And I would almost say what happened with the knee was Figgy's way of, you don't want to intentionally blow your knee out like that. But I think he knew exactly where that was heading,
he was
and
going
that
to be
might
in
have been
for
a
a long
little,
night if he just didn't hurry up and get out of there. Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, that at his age, that could very well be a career-altering injury. So hopefully, he's not out too long. But for me personally, that puts an end to the Figgy 135 experiment. I would say go back down to flyweight, but who knows if he can with what he's put on. He looked very different throughout fight week. So, but Corey Sandhagen had the performance he needed to be considered next for the title. So
yeah, well, Jan has fought both. You know what I mean? If you're going to make a case for Peter Yan, if it's O'Malley, to me that fight was close enough to run it back. Merab dog walked Peter Yan. I mean, it was a decision like it always is with Merab, but I mean, just that he offered nothing to Merab. So give me Corey over that situation. And I do think I'm kind of with you. I do think Merab will probably win that fight. But yeah, I think Corey's next. I think he should be next. I think it should be John versus Umar, wherever the hell Umar's been at.
Yeah, the benefit of the Sanhagen matchup is it is new, because if they did do Jan next, that would be two rematches on Merab's title defense. Now, granted, that kind of shows the level Merab is at if they're having to rematch people he's already beaten. But
Well, he faced everybody to get to the titles. The problem, because you know what I mean, like they never gave him the title, so they just kept him giving him contender after contender, and he just kept knocking him off. That's why everybody's a rematch outside of Corey. Like he missed Corey, so like that's the fight to make to me.
I agree.
Let's get into UFC 315 this Saturday again. Headlined by the welterweight champ Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title. The co-main event is Valentina Shevchenko versus Manuel Ferrero. But this, man, Bobby, like this card is not very deep. It seems like it.
Losing Joel Alvarez absolutely did not help, and then pulling Morales versus Burns and trying to claim we got an upgrade with 2 more rounds in the Apex. I mean, they were kind of shooting themselves from the jump on this. But, you know, the 2 title fights will be enough for me. The BSD fight almost fallen off. Like, that was a 50-50 fight, which I legitimately thought he was going to lose. And now he's a minus 1,000 favorite. So,
what do you make of him saying he hasn't had a head coach in his last few fights?
Kind of explains a lot, honestly, because I did not know what was like different. And granted, he was dealing with injuries as well and stuff, but that's pretty wild. Like, would that insinuate he didn't have a coach for the Poirier fight?
I think he fired his fight guys after the Poirier fight, is what I was told, or maybe that's what you said. Maybe did you hear that?
I wasn't. I didn't hear he let anyone go. You know, I don't know. It kind of explains a lot, but it also kind of shows the noticeable sides of sometimes we don't really consider the corner and stuff like that. And you know, that knowing that, I would have been a little bit more excited for the Alvarez fight, but I do gotta give everyone was like mad that it was a squash matchup. And like Gamrot is bitching that like he turned down the fight on a week notice. I'm sorry. The UFC does not reward these guys for taking this on short notice. So they better give him a winnable fight like that. And credit to the guy that is getting back in the UFC by taking this fight. And you know, you could start the pay-per-view off with a viral moment, but obviously minus 1,000 is, you know, kind of shows you the way it should go.
Yeah, the fight I'd like to see I'd like that to get bumped to the prelims, to be honest with you. The fight I'd like to see in the main card is Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. That Jasmine is a favorite over the former champ here at minus 340. So
that's not on the main card? I thought it was.
Oh, no, it's not.
Huh.
It is the
I'd say
fight.
that or Mike Malott. You know, he's fighting Bilal's boy.
That's the main event prelim, like the headline of the prelim. Malott versus Charles Radke. Malott, the Canadian favorite here at minus 180. So let's get into the main card, Bobby. I think we're both riding with BSD. Like, there's no real need to break this fight down. I mean, the minus 1,160. Uh,
I,
I mean,
I mean,
this.
I would say BSD by finish, and let's hope he gets a finish because, I picked him up in the fantasy league. So if he gets a decision off a guy in a week notice, I'm just going to feel like an idiot. But, this is why we love the sport. So let's see what happens. But, yeah, I'll be riding with BSD heavy, probably KO or submission.
Yeah, same. The next fight on the card is the former flyweight champ Alexa Grasso. Obviously, things have not gone her way the last few times out. She lost the title to Valentina. She's actually a dog on this card at plus 205. She's taken on Natalia Silva, who's 18-5, is the favorite at minus 250. She is undefeated in the UFC, Bobby. Like this, she has been riding high. She is the last time we saw her was in September, where she did beat Jessica Andrade by unanimous decision, but undefeated in the UFC. She's trying to make sure that she enters the contendership here.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with this line at all. I think this is a terrible fight for Grasso, especially when you look back at that trilogy. Her wrestling just seemed to got a lot worse, especially with the takedown defense. And, that's why Valentina really had no issues in the last fight. And, yeah, I mean, I don't mean to count out a former champ, but I think that line is pretty justified, and Silva will at least win by decision, if not being able to find the finish. But we know she's got Diego in her corner, so it should be a fun, stylistic fight. But if you're a fan of Alexis Grasso, I would be a little concerned with this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going with Silva as well. Go ahead and mark it down. I I just think that maybe I don't want to say Grosso's like best days behind him. I just think like you go through a trilogy with Valentina, and now you face another up and comer. This is a tough fight, but she's trying to maintain there. If Silva can knock down the door, it'll be really interesting. Like, could she be? She could possibly be next, or it could be. We could be seeing Wei Lee, as we know, waiting for Valentina. If Valentina wins, it seems like. We'll get to Valentina here in just a minute. But the next fight is Mr. Amin Sabib, aka Errol Hawani, versus Mr. The King of Rio, Jose Aldo. Jose is the favorite at minus 210 here. Zabib is on a nice run. He's 12-2, has looked good in his last few fights. He's actually on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, six fight winning streak. Aldo last time out lost, we know, to Mario Batista, a fight that didn't look great. And people were actually shitting on Batista for the way that fight happened. But Aldo did win the fight before that in his return fight. But here he is, the ever game 38. It's crazy, right? Like it feels like Aldo's should be like 45 years old because we've been fighting his whole life. He's only actually a year older than Zabib at Armin, and Armin is 37, and while Aldo's 38. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this fight, but at the same time, I hate this fucking matchmaking by the UFC. Like, it's very clear what they're trying to do. This
they
should
just
be
want
a
to kill off
very.
Jose. They just want to kill off Aldo. I feel like they've just been
I,
trying to give him young killers.
I feel like he was added to this card to justify star power because he's very popular in Montreal, and his opponent is a hometown guy. So
Yeah,
I'm going to be kind of very interested in the reception Aldo gets, but I'd be very surprised if it's like some hostile territory thing. But how he had issues was not being able to get off the fence. Like his takedown defense is good enough to not get taken down, but eventually he just looks like Alex Pereira and literally cannot get off the fence. So with that same game plan, makes it very hard for me to pick Aldo. But all that being said, I don't know. I'm feeling a little superstitious with this, and you know, we saw Zabit get a haircut on Embedded. We know that's a death sentence. So I don't know. Like, what'd you say the line was on this? Like, he's minus.
Aldo's minus 210.
Yeah, I mean, I can just kind of see it with like how he struggled is when he gets kind of put up on the fence and stuff. So um I see it. I really kind of want to make it a vibes pick and go Aldo. And I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Someone's got to believe in the guy, but gonna be a tough night in the office. But bang the hammer for Aldo for me.
Yeah, man, I've kind of gone back and forth. It's hard for me not to pick Aldo. I just think like been there, done that. Last fight, not great. I don't know. I'm with you on this matchmaking. It's like they just want to give Aldo all the younger. Not, I say younger, but not like age wise, but just like guys who are trying to make. How can we build this guy up to make off of Aldo's name, right? Aldo's ranked 11th, and I didn't even know Amin was ranked. He's 15th, so there's that. Um,
So I guess if you at least look at the rankings, it's not as awful. To
yeah,
me, it's just
mid
more knowing the other matchups they could have made, But it is what it is.
Who would
It
you have liked
obviously
to see
deserves to.
Aldo fight? Who would you have liked to see Aldo fight?
I mean, anyone that isn't like on this killer descent and stuff, and that's why like the UFC doesn't really do this. So it's not like I should really be surprised. But like here's a great example, okay? Pitbull. Like instead of matching up Pitbull against Yair Rodriguez, why couldn't they have just matched up Pitbull with Aldo? Like that is so much more entertaining.
Oh,
Just
two different divisions now, 135 and 145.
make it a catch weight. Like I could give a shit. Like literally, it's not like Aldo is getting back to the title,
I think they were
and
trying to. I think Pitbull thought he could make it a run to the title.
yeah, you know, I don't want to shade Pitbull, but not in that division. I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed. And not at this age. I'll say that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
But
Yeah.
like stylistically, the fight should still be very entertaining. So maybe I'm just, a little bit in my feelings watching the old guy, get thrown out the door and stuff. Like you always think of like when he was entering the Hall of Fame and he was like all happy, like dancing and stuff. And it's just like hard to root against the guy. And like the guy he's fighting, I don't really want to see lose either, So it's just kind of one of those ones like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But you know, realistically, I think it's going to be a tough night for Aldo, but I'm still going to ride with him.
Yeah, I'm right. I think I'm going to ride with Aldo as well. One last time for the King of Rio. Let's go for Jose Aldo. Uh, where we at here? Now we're getting to the co-main event. Valentina, who's coming off the win, getting the belt back at the Sphere, and taking on Maneuver. Man, I feel like how long? I'm gonna have to check here something. Last time, it's been over a year since we saw her when she beat down Aaron Blanchfield. It was a unanimous decision, but it wasn't even close. And it was that was March 30th, 2024. So there's that. So she hasn't had a finish since 2021. Her last 5 fights have been all by decision. So there's that. Where you do have the Bullet, like I said, making her return, won the title back, getting over the the 3 fights, the trilogy of Alexa Grasso, and now she finally has a new opponent. Your thoughts here on the co-main event? Real quick on the odds here. Let me go back here. Valentina's actually the dog on the card at plus 110.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that initially, I was a little bit surprised by it, but then I thought about it a little more, and I also, went back to the Blanchfield fight where, Marone looked great. She was able to pretty much nullify the takedown, and from there, Blanchfield really had nothing for her. And you mentioned that she hasn't fought in a year, so that might affect a few things. But at the same time, I try to wonder, like, what's worse, not having fought in a year or just coming off a trilogy? And let's be honest, it's a trilogy we did not need. I mean, if it wasn't for the Noche Sphere aspect, I think the UFC would have been fine leaving that second fight with a draw and moving on forward. But they knew
No,
they had
she had
this.
to get the belt back. She had to get the belt back, and she won that first fight, that second fight. Remember? And
The
by
second fight
judge,
was a draw, and
yeah,
that's
because
why
the
we
judge,
got stuck with the third fight.
yeah, because the
So
judge fucked it up. It was bad judging.
yeah, but like my point is, I'm just really curious if that's going to affect Valentina in this fight, because like Valentina has been very kind of wrestling heavy when she's had issues with stuff, and everything I've seen from Ferro has been very good with being able to nullify the takedowns and stuff, and. Knowing that it's a 5 round fight, like, yeah, maybe she'll drop the first round and stuff, but I do think it's going to be a very interesting fight. Both the co-main and the main are really the meat and potatoes on it. Like, it's not going to be the crazy highlight, real finish that we're used to with other champions. But this is going to be a very technical fight. And, I think it's going to be a game of inches. And I could really see Ferro being able to pull it off, mainly just because Valentina has been fighting the same exact person. And, she just dominated Alexis in the last fight. And you can kind of look to, well, maybe that was all her. Maybe, Grasso just really knew she wasn't winning that fight and got checked out. But I don't know. For me personally, like seeing the people that Ferro has been fighting, the year of her away isn't kind of scaring me away like it normally would. And granted, we could definitely get a Valentina moment of, oh no, you want to recognize me not fighting in a trilogy fight and come out a lot different, guns blazing. But I don't know, just especially with the crowd and stuff too. For some reason, I'm leaning more towards and new instead of and still. So which I kind of thought would be a little bit more spicy, but she's the underdog, or she's the favorite. So
Yeah.
that is, I can kind of see where they got to it. She's just barely, the favorite, but I could easily see this like flipping on fight night or something like that. But I don't know, just how she was able to really nullify Blanchfield's takedowns. If Valentina tries to use the wrestling and can't, granted, she used to be, a phenomenal kickboxer. She obviously still is, but I've definitely noticed the more wrestle heavy approach with her lately. So for that alone, I think Ferrot's going to be able to nullify that. So give me and new.
Ooh, wow. Um, yeah, I think you're right. Valentina has gone very heavy in the wrestling the last, at least during that Grasso trilogy. I think part of that was like Grasso could stand a little bit and knew she was trouble, and Valentina thought she could take her down and showed that she could. I'm just looking at the odds here. Like Valentina by KO, TKO, or DQ is plus 900, sub plus 800. If
And,
for
and,
Valentina.
And to your point, why wouldn't she just take Grasso down if she knew she was clearly superior in that side
Yeah,
of it?
yeah,
Um, so, but if she's wanting to take down Grasso, I think that's going to be her game plan from the jump against Ferro.
yeah. Faroe by submission is 2,500.
Wow,
Yeah,
live a little.
yeah. Points wise, plus 115. So I mean, if you're gonna pick Manier, you just pick, go by points, by decision. For Grasso or for Valentina's plus 200. And with that being said, Bobby, I was dumb and I picked against Valentina, in the sphere card. Well, I'm not making the same choice twice. Fool me once, you ain't fooling me again. I can't put the damn mask on. Uh, my dog on the card is Ann Still, UFC Women's Flyweight Champion Valentina Shevchenko, baby. That's my dog on the card at plus 110.
Wow. Wonder if the dog mask will make two appearances on today's show.
That brings us to our main event. We're finally, I think, kind of to me, this is the column. I guess we do have another welterweight main event like next week. Is it next week or the week after with Burns and Morales? But this is kind of the finish of the cultivation, whatever the word is, cultivation. You know, at the top of this like welterweight, we've had like a welterweight Grand Prix, you could say, right? We had Brady, we had and Edwards, and we had Ian Gary and uh, what's his name? He got Ian Gary just beat,
Parates?
Yeah, thanks. I was drawing a blank. I was fucking in the building, and Ian Gary's the backup fighter. So kudos to Ian. I don't think he'll be needed, but kudos to him. And now we're getting the final peak here. Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Almeida. And this line has gone down, Bobby. Like Bilal was a heavy favorite when this first opened up. The money is obviously coming in on Jack, and it's gone down here. Bilal is minus 185, 24-3. We know the last time out he won the title. This is his first title defense back in July. We have not seen JDM in quite some time. He is coming off the win of Gilbert Burns. It was March 9th of 2024. So it's been over a year for JDM since the last time we saw him fight. 17-2. This is a different stylistics. We know JDM wants to stand and bang. We know Bilal is going to put the pressure on and wants to wrestle. Your thoughts here on the main event?
I've definitely come out around on it quite a bit. When this was first announced, it was no secret that I was very unhappy with this, mainly
It's
just
because we didn't get
because,
the fight we wanted, right? We both wanted Shavkat versus Bilal.
yeah, and I think that initially made me discredit JDM initially. Like you said, we haven't seen him in a year, but going back, the man is a great striker, and not only that, he is very good at moving in and stepping out. And Bilal is the opposite. Bilal is, right in your face, tries to pressure you the whole time. So stylistically, I really think this fight is going to deliver. I know everyone's, concerned about, oh no, we might get some grappling. Oh God, Bilal can't finish. Oh no, but what happens if that? Sometimes we just gotta let the fight play out. And yeah, granted, it could be a technical masterclass. Bilal's team is great. His coach is very detail oriented. They go over a lot of tape. But at the same time, JDM is no slouch. He has a great grappling coach. His head coach knows how to get the best out of him in certain moments. And, he is able to scramble when stuff gets tough. It's not like Bilal Muhammad, when he gets you down, he's not really trying to hold you down the entire time. So I could definitely see avenues of Jack being able to get back up and stuff. Bilal has struggled in the past with the left high kick. JDM has a great left high kick. His knees are fast. I can definitely see a lot of avenues of JDM winning this fight. Before I thought the line was extremely disrespectful, I still think there is insane money on Bilal as far as it being that low. Because if this fight does go a certain way, um, that could really pay out. But when he was originally announced, he was like a 2-1 favorite. And I kind of scoffed at that. But the more I look at it, I can kind of see it because JDM has been able to get out of very bad looking positions. I mean, he was able to, scramble out of a sequence with Gilbert Burns with a broken arm and then was able to get back up and finish him. So, I'm personally surprised you use the dog mask on the last fight. Might be kind of revealing with where you're heading, but at the same time, it you know this is for me personally. When I watch this, I'm going to be locked in and glued. And though it might not seem like much, I'm going to be on pins and needles the entire time because I know JDM is always going to have a puncher's chance. And it's more than just a puncher's chance because of how he gets these combinations off. He makes them look very effortless, makes you second guess to where you're going. But all that being said, I do just think Bilal is going to be very prepared. Um, but this does have, kind of the makings of. I don't think it's shocking to say the UFC would prefer this to happen. It would clear up a lot of their problems in two divisions. But I don't know. I personally think Bilal will be able to kind of eat whatever JDM throws back at him and will avoid being able to get finished. And I think Bilal is not just coming to, win a 25-minute decision. Contrary to the belief, he can finish a fight. And if they are engaging, like, with Bilal moving forward and Delamena throwing these combinations, I don't see how this can be boring. I don't think he's going to get outclassed to the point if it's boring. But if he does, I'll probably enjoy it just as much. So I'm probably the worst person to be asking this to, but I'm going to be going with and still, and they will remember the name Bilal Muhammad one day.
Yeah, I find it funny you keep saying Bilal's going to finish somebody. He hasn't finished anybody. I mean, Sean Brady, I guess that's the only person. That's it. One person. You can't even get
One guy who is
Bilal
undefeated. I mean,
you can't even get Bilal at plus money minus with the points minus 115 by decision. So that just goes to show you what the world thinks.
yeah, no,
JDM,
Vegas ain't stupid.
JDM by TKO is 250. By sub plus 2,000. Bilal by sub is 12,000, and then JDM by points is plus 550. So there's that. Do you feel like, before I give out, do you feel like cloud, especially this main event, is being clouded by Islam? And
Not
like
at all. I think that's yeah, no, I think that's second grade content reporting. I don't think any of that is. I do not think Islam is waiting to determine anything. If he's actually going up, he's going up regardless.
what do you make?
To
What do you make of Hunter Campbell heading out to see the sights in Dagestani?
Probably wanted the exact sit down face to face, opposed to trying to do a lot of that over the phone. And I have not heard from Islam that he does not want the Ilya fight. And maybe it is really coming down to, oh, you know, if JDM wins this fight, it's probably it would not shock me at all if Islam goes up. But I think it would be a permanent move up. I don't think he is ever going to fight at 155 again if he moves up. And that's kind of been why I've been such a proponent of, well, at least make the Ilya Taporia fight, because if that fight isn't next, we will never get that fight. But you know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just going to kind of remain hopeful. But realistically, I do not think that has any bearing on what Islam is doing. I think a lot of the people that are reporting that don't get information from his camp or anyone in the UFC. So it's just probably, the product of having a 5 day a week show. And if International Fight Week had a main event, this wouldn't even be a conversation, in my
Right.
opinion.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
and who knows? It would not shock me at all if they announce it on Friday, right before the fight or something. Because
Yeah.
Ilya
I
definitely
think they
seems to
announced
be,
Saturday.
yeah,
I think
Ilya
they announced
definitely seems to be in a camp. Um, you know, I think they know the numbers will track and it will sell out. Um, but I don't know. To me, if it really was hinging on him moving up, I think they would be planning for Ilya because they would be very confident in Bilal winning. But at the same time, maybe there's something Khabib's. If you look at it through Islam's point, why not just wait? Like he can pretty much do whatever he wants as far as dictating when he's going to do it. So why not have that extra option? Because eventually we know he's going to fight at 170. So the question just will it be his next fight or will it be a fight or two? I think he's got one more in 55 period, whether that's against Ilya or Justin. But I think he's got Uno Mas at 155 and then he'll move up. So I don't, I think a lot of that's getting overblown because people just hate talking about Bilal Muhammad. So they talk about the much spicier one that gets clicks.
Yeah, agreed. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't. Who knows what Islam's going to do? And it just does seem like. You're right. If he had a fight booked, an International Fight Week was the main event was booked, we wouldn't even be speculating so much. Did real quick before I make my pick too. Did you hear about this Bilal versus like Kamaru Usman beef?
Yeah, it was they did a podcast together and
Yeah,
supposedly it never aired. And you know, Usman
Usman
has
said
always been
on
yeah,
site. What he said, his security would have to.
Usman
So
Usman
for
has
the
always been full of himself, and
yeah,
Bilal's style of trash talk has always been very clean and just telling it like it is. And
yeah. So
you know,
for people watching who don't know, Bilal was on the Pound for Pound podcast with Henry and Usman, and he was just kind of saying like, I'm the champ, and things have changed, and Usman said, "Yeah, I was the champ, and then he's like, but you're not the champ, and Usman never. I think Bilal did say, I guess I read in the transcript or whatever. It's like Bilal said, yeah, but you did good. I took a head kick better than you or something like that, and that Usman kind of got fired up, and so there seems to be some sort of beef there. Good for Usman. Usman, if he wins, maybe he's just trying to strum up some drama there to if he can beat Joaquin Buckley in a few weeks, maybe he's trying to strum up some stuff. So not a bad idea there. To strum up a storyline and to try to get a fight before he gets passed over by everybody else. But, we'll see. With that being said, again, Ian Gary is the backup fighter. I don't think he'll be needed. I think both guys will make weight, and I think we'll be ready to fight. On Saturday night, we'll get JDM versus Bilal Muhammad. And I'm right there with you a lot of times. As much as I don't like Bilal, and it's just not, I'm not a fan of his fighting style, or I hate the remember the name, and I just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. But with that being said, I do respect him as a fighter. He's very good, and he's elite. I think it's a little bit too much, you know, um, for JDM at this point. Maybe just I think a little too soon. I felt like almost, and coming off a year where you've had some injury setbacks and things like that. Bilal is so good at just pressuring and getting people to the ground. We saw it with Leon Edwards. We've seen it time and time again. But if JDM can keep him at a distance and like you said, move in and out, which he's very good at, he has a puncher's chance just like anybody else. But with that being said, I'm going in still UFC welterweight champion of the world, Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad.
I know that hurt you there.
It did. It did. It hurt. It hurt me. It hurt me. It hurt me. William says Bully said he wasn't pound for pound anymore and made him cry. Yeah, he's talking about Usman, obviously. Bobby, any final thoughts for anything before we get up out of here?
One last thing on the Islam thing. That I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I do think, though it might not be appeasing to us, I do think he has earned his right to call his shot about what he wants to do. So if that makes them waiting for an event and stuff, and if he goes to 170, he goes to 170. He's put in enough work, and he doesn't give a flying fuck what the internet says. So they can.
Here's what I'll say about that too: is like there's not a real clear cut number one contender. Arman missed his chance, and is he gonna just not fight in the UFC? Like he's doing everything he can not to fight anybody, right? Like won't fight Gamrot. And now he's just doing these weird. It was in karate combat, and I saw he signed up for another grappling match. Like, bro.
So that alone right there is why I think Ilya and Islam is signed, because Arman has pretty much been told you're waiting a good minute, and
they already told him he wasn't going to get a title shot next, right? Like,
yeah. But now it sounds like he's probably 2 away. I mean, the best thing for Arman would be Islam moving up, because then maybe they would match up him and Ilya. But I don't think they're going to do that first. And honestly, it can get kind of murky for Arman because it makes the waters so brand new that he might be more than 1 win away before getting a title shot.
He should have just fought Gamrot. He should have just said, "Yeah, I'll fight Gamrot." Like you got to get back in the UFC's good graces, guy.
Yeah, I don't understand the aspect of it is disrespectful them offering a guy that has a win over you. Like
no, Arman has the win. Arman has a win over him.
No, Gamrot beat him.
Oh, okay. I remember it was a close fight, so I couldn't remember who's fucking.
Yeah, and like that'd be like the equivalent of Islam being like, but on the other side, like Islam actually has the victory over Arman. So I think that soured the UFC, turning that one down when he already said he was going to have, to fight one more. The one more is kind of irrelevant. Like take Gamrot, but. Those are his exact words, also saying he felt disrespected. And, they're letting him do the grappling matches and stuff, but I don't think that's going to help him against Islam. So I think he's mainly just doing it for the activity since he missed that last fight. So hopefully they can get him a fight booked and, that grappling match doesn't even happen. We've seen that happen in the past, but yeah, he's definitely in a tough spot. I don't envy that.
Yeah, and there's just no clear cut. We haven't heard from like Charles either. You know what I mean? So like it's Charles, it's Justin, it's Arman. So like if Islam moves up, it's Ilya. Like if Islam moves up, then let him move up, and then we can match there. But it'll be interesting. But yeah, if I'm Arman, I don't understand. Not why. First of all, if a guy beat me, I don't understand. Not wherever he's ranked at, I don't care. Like, wouldn't you want to get your get back in? You know what I mean? So, they were offering for you to do that. Every other fighter would probably do that. It just doesn't make any sense.
It is probably one of the, even though he has a loss against him, it's one of the least risky or fights he could take. Like unless he thought they were going to give him Michael Chandler or something like that, The top of 55 is I thought they were going to do Charles and just run it back with him, but them offering him Gamrot makes me believe that Charles will probably get Ilya if Islam moves up. But
Yeah, agreed.
hopefully none of this is going to matter on Wednesday. We'll have the fight announced, or who knows, maybe JDM will get the shot around the world, and then we're really back to the drawing board. But
Yeah.
either way, it's an exciting time for both 170 and 155. So let's just hope we get some news out of it.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully we'll get some clarity after this weekend on everything. So one thing's for sure, when we walk out to, wake up Sunday morning, we'll have, the 170 champion will either be Ann Steele or Ann News. So this has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. Whit, we miss you, brother. Hope all is well. And thanks again to the real Don Davis. So appreciate it. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks for tuning in. For my guy, Bobby Blunt's on podcast. It's been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll be back here next Wednesday, same time. Go over everything of the UFC 315. So we'll see you then, folks.
Enjoy the fights.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.